Welcome, everybody, to the Digital Nomad Experts podcast by Beach Commute. Today, we're going to talk about 15 of the coolest cultural events to travel to around the world. So we're going to travel around the world. We're going to talk about all of these really awesome things that you can go to as a destination as part of your digital nomad planning. Sometimes we like to do our planning around these anchor points, like these specific events around the world. It gives you an excuse to go somewhere, and it gives you an excuse to embrace the local culture. So we've got a lot of really cool things that we're going to talk about. Not going to go into a ton of detail with a lot of them. We just want to give you a little bit of a sample to give you some ideas out of we had to cut this list off because there are just hundreds of these things that you could possibly do and hundreds more that we've never even thought of. So hopefully this will be a good inspiration for you. It'll give you some good ideas for the first places that you might want to travel. So with that, Marisa, should we dive into number one?
Yeah, and before we do, I just my little preamble as well, which is, as Jeff said, sometimes we travel just because there's places we want to see or go to. Sometimes it's people we want to meet up with, but it's really cool to sort of anchor some of your digital nomad trips around these festivals that if you don't have a remote job and you don't have the freedom to be anywhere anytime, you're probably not going to get to a lot of these in your lifetime, kind of point blank. Most of us, when you have the 2 weeks vacation or your job from you can only leave your office every so often, you only go so far. Typically, you're not going to go out of your way to go experience a lot of these things. You're going to go to some location or beach or a safari or, whatever it is that you want to experience and see. But to me, these are some of the coolest, when you can get in and experience the local culture and experience some of these events that we're going to talk about that typically happen in a country around once a year that this country celebrates or known for. To me, that's one of the very best ways to experience a culture and learn just what that country's all about, what their roots are. So just fun travel experiences. And again, if you don't yet have a remote job and you're not a digital nomad, these are probably things that you likely just won't get to in your lifetime. Maybe you would, maybe you'd go to one or two of these, but these were 15 of the first ones that came to our mind. And as Jeff said, there are hundreds more. So if there's anything that you can think of, definitely write us in if we missed any big ones or anything you've done or have wanted to do. But we'll share just some of the fun travel things that you can do when you have the freedom to travel all the time. That's my 2 cents. Yeah. So with that, number one, this is the first one that came to my mind of what is a big kind of annual cool thing that it happens in another country. And to me, I call it, a lot of people call it the Lantern Festival in Thailand. I believe the actual name is the Nyi Pi Festival. But if you Google Lantern Festival, Thailand, you're going to come up and you've probably seen pictures on a screensaver on Instagram or something of this. But there's hundreds or maybe even thousands of these lanterns that go up into the air on this night when they do this festival. And it's just this really, really beautiful experience in Thailand. So it's typically, the exact date changes from year to year, but typically sometime in November. I believe it's based on the lunar calendar, and that's why it changes each year. But a lot of times, the best place to see it is right outside of Chiang Mai, Thailand. And it's just a really cool, it's just a really beautiful experience. And I actually had to look up what was the original reason they did it again. I was there a couple of days right before it happened, but they said it's to pay homage to Buddha and seeking good fortune. So again, it's just a cool way to get to feel the Thai culture, to see this event that happens, and it's just visually stunning as well.
I looked up a few pictures of it. That's absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's not a terrible fire hazard. There's just floating balls of fire everywhere.
It probably is. I know I've done other, when you release those lanterns into the air each year, depending on the wind, you're sometimes not allowed to do it because it might blow, into the land instead of out towards the water, things like that. But, so yeah, I don't know how it definitely happens, or maybe it's just a place where they have more clear land. But yeah, it's a really, really cool, beautiful one to do.
All right, next on the list is, I haven't been to it. It's called Calgary Stampede. And I only bring it up because I know a lot of my Canadian friends have talked about this before. And it's this, I don't know how long, maybe a week or so. It's defined as an annual rodeo exhibition festival held in July in Calgary. And
in Canada.
In
Calgary,
Canada. Calgary, Canada. Yeah, exactly.
I had never heard of this one, so give us the brief synopsis of like what goes down at this experience at this
Yeah, I'm
event.
kind of surprised that neither one of us knew a ton about it. It's actually coming up July 5th through the 14th because the last attendance was $1.4 million or 1.4 million people. That's insane. It is. Okay, so it's defined as a festival with rodeos, a parade, stage shows, concerts, agricultural competition, chuck wagon racing. No idea what that means. I got to see it. Chuck wagon is, that sounds great. And a First Nations, I don't know what that is either. But everything I've heard says it is an absolute blast. It's just like a party for 7 to 10 days or so. Lots of music, lots of rodeo. I've never done a rodeo before either, but it sounds like a ball. And that's pretty much all I know. But apparently, with 1.4 million people a year, it's a pretty popular thing.
It was one of the first ones that came to your mind, so I feel like we had to do
You
it
have
here.
to.
A lot
It's
of
a
these
rule.
other ones we have been to, some of them we haven't, and they're on our bucket list as well. But these are just big bucket list things to do in life. So yeah, I love those. All right, so number 3 on the list, this is one I actually have attended, and my friends and I who went to this will explain it as one of the most fun things or one of the coolest experiences you never want to do again. I don't even know if I would call it fun, but it was worth the one-time experience. It was worth the story. It's called the Tomatina Festival, and it's in a small town in Spain called Buñol. I believe it's B-N with the like tilde over it. Oh, so B-U-N-O-L. The closest main town is Valencia, so they kind of have all these shuttle buses that run from Valencia to this festival. And it is over 20,000 people each year. And I forget how many tons of tomatoes. Maybe, Jeff, if you could do like a Google search while I'm saying this, like how many tons of tomatoes. But it's this tiny little town. And it's the kind of little European town where the streets are narrow and you have big buildings that run along each side. And every street is filled with like literally thousands of people. And then these big dump trucks, like garbage truck size, like that would collect trash, but they're filled with tomatoes instead, come through these streets that are already too crowded to move. And so it feels like a death hazard where you were like pushed against. It's like more crowded than most crowded concert you've ever been to. Like so I'm fairly tall, but I have a lot of friends who were several inches shorter than me and like got so claustrophobic because they couldn't see over the crowd that they literally left. Like they were like, terrible. I gotta get out of here. You have to wear goggles because you have so many tomatoes thrown at you that you can't see. By the end of it, the street is filled with like a foot, like up to your mid shin of just like tomato juices, and you're just covered in tomatoes. So it's called the biggest food fight in the world. Did you see how many pounds of tomatoes it was?
Yeah. Do you want to guess? I've got the number here.
I couldn't even begin to guess. I feel like it's like hundreds of pounds.
320,000 pounds of tomatoes.
320,000. That's insane. It's insane.
They've got 9 rules, too. It's actually kind of funny.
What does it say?
1, do not throw anything but tomatoes. So they created that rule for a reason. Do not tear clothes. Squash tomatoes before throwing them to avoid hurt. No, that makes sense. Keep a safe distance from trucks. Stop throwing tomatoes after the second starter pistol shot. I guess you heard that. Follow directions of the security staff. Only throw tomatoes at targets you can see. Do not throw tomatoes at buildings. I'm sure that happened a lot. And then number 9, have a great fun time.
Yeah, I don't know if I could even call it fun. It was just like chaotic.
It sounds great to me.
It sounds great. Like I had a friend who had wanted to go for years and finally we're like, all right, we'll go. We're doing it. And she was one of the ones who was like, I got to get here. I was like, we came for you. But it starts with the first pistol starts after these people like climb a greased pole to get like a watermelon at the top of a pole. And once that happens, then it's just a wild, weird time. So if that sounds up your alley, take my warning of it's not necessarily fun, but it is a good story for the storybooks. And it's like a one-time thing you'll never want to do again. That was what all my friends and I decided anyway. But it's an experience, and that is one that made the list. So with that, Jeff, what's number 4?
All right, so let's go to Austria area for the Christmas markets. Anybody that's been to the Bavaria area, you've seen it any time of the year. You've got all of these, what do they call them, kitsch, like Christmas kitsch markets, and you'll see all of these shops that sell exclusively Christmas stuff, just an entire shop full of Christmas stuff, which seems kind of odd, like when you're there in July, but when you're there in the fall around, November, December, these markets open up and everybody just goes out in this freezing, terrible weather and they drink mulled wine. And that's kind of classic. You drink like mulled wine out of a little boot type of thing. And there's all these markets. You just walk up and down the streets, these lit markets, buying food and mulled wine and just kind of like trying not to freeze to death and hang out with people. You kind of have to around that time of year because otherwise you're shut indoors because the weather's so terrible. But it's like, it's a real fun cultural thing to do because they're so big on Christmas and there's so many silly little things that you can buy like mugs and all this kind of stuff and buy touristy types of stuff for friends. Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. And it's not limited to just that little area. Like you can also find them in other parts of Belgium and just kind of like throughout Europe. It's really popular. But one thing in particular, they've got the Krampus festival in Austria, which is absolutely insane. It's a street and they've got these people walk down the streets with these Krampus masks. And Krampus is basically like a demon Santa Claus. It's like an evil spirit. And it's supposedly like, if you're a bad kid, they tell the kid that Krampus is going to eat you. So they bring the kids in the festival. It's kind of like a warning to them. You got all these scary Krampus masks, and they're terrifying. Just Google Krampus mask or Krampus festival, and they'll just go walking up and down the streets scaring people. It's kind of like a Halloween thing during Christmas, which is complete opposite of what you would expect for a Christmas vibe. Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing. I've got a few friends that went to that thing, and they said it's just like, it's a terrifying but kind of fun event.
That is very different than the just like peaceful Christmas markets that are cute and quaint.
Polar opposites. Very calm, quiet, drinking a little mulled wine, and then you've got these crazy Halloween costumes and everything.
That is wild. But yeah, I have a lot of digital nomad friends who specifically will go to Europe that time of year, to Germany, Austria sort of area, to go to those Christmas markets. It's like, yeah, it's like a thing to see and do and experience.
Kind of cute. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. So I guess that brings us to number 5. So this one is Holi in India. So Holi. And if you Google it, there are a bunch of specific places that are probably like the most fun, the best to experience it. But this happens all over the country. And it's the festival of colors. So a lot of times, like I'm
Googling
you're looking at.
Wow.
I was like, yeah, you must be looking at Google images. So people will so just Google Holi. It'll come up if you want to Google Holi India. And it's like people throw these sort of like paint sort of like just colors all over. So you're covered and like you're supposed to kind of wear white, wear old clothes. And you go on the streets and everyone's throwing these like colors all around. And I have friends, especially if you're blonde. I have a lot of blonde friends who I was with soon after. I was with them in Sri Lanka. They had just come from India from the Holi festival. And their hair was like kind of dyed pink-ish for several weeks.
And they came up.
It kind of you would have it. It kind of looked like a pink kind of balayage, and I was like, oh, that's a cool look. It looked like intentional, like some kind of like rock star would like dye their hair sort of like pink in the roots. They were like, this was not purposeful. This is from Holi. So anyway, it's definitely like a once in a lifetime thing to go. If you're in India, obviously you probably experience that every year, but otherwise to go and experience that once in your lifetime, it's definitely on my list of things to experience. I haven't done it yet, but would love to.
Yeah, mine too. Looking at these pictures, this is just purely psychedelic. That is wild.
Yeah.
There's so many colors. That looks like a blast.
Yeah. And I think it's also, I know from my friends who've done it, it also can be overwhelming. I feel like it can be kind of like the Tomatina festival where it's like, it's really cool and the pictures are cool and it looks cool to see it. But in reality, it's actually like chaotic and overwhelming. And you like get hit in the face. Like, it's like, people are like groping you on the side. It's like, it's a lot. Great. It's a lot, but also,
it's like the tomato fest.
Exactly. So take it with just know what you're in for, but it is a cultural event to travel to for sure. And with that, if you guys, by the way, we've got 15 of these, we've got a bunch more, but if you're interested in these so far, if you would love more freedom to travel and you don't yet have a remote job, check out beachcommute.com/email. If you want to get on our email list, we send a ton of information about how to get remote jobs, different tactics, more info about the podcast, things you don't want to miss. So this is your one-stop shop with us at Beach Commute to learn how to get a remote job. We send a lot of resources. So beachcommute.com/email if you're not already on our list to get exclusive, all sorts of things that we send out. And with that, I feel like I'm talking a lot. Actually, you want to switch? Let's switch to 6 and 7 so you can talk, and then I'll do the next one.
Okay, so the next one on the list is in Colombia, and it is called El Alumbrado, which basically means lighting. It's also known as the EPM Lights Show, and it's a seasonal event just around Christmas. It's most of December, where there's a giant canal that runs down the middle of Medellín, and they hang just millions of lights, and it's usually in some sort of theme. Last year they picked, I think it was Encanto. It was the Pixar movie. So so they'll do a theme, and it's really beautiful. All these lights will be in the theme of some Disney or Pixar movie, and they're hung across the entire canal, and they're synchronized. So they do kind of this light show. So you walk across the canal, and all you see are these just millions and millions of lights. And then as you cross, there's a market where they set up all of these exhibitions. So last time there was like these giant walkways that were all themed with Encanto, and it had like all the different characters and everything. And there's street vendors everywhere. It's kind of like going to this amusement park, and everybody comes out, cooks traditional food. There was another creepy Christmas thing there. I can't remember. It was like a woman that kidnaps children. I saw she has like blood tears coming out of her eyes.
Jeff,
she came up to me and she's like,
why do you know
they just follow me. I don't know. I didn't have anything to do with it. She followed me, and she's like trying to scare me. I'm like, fuck it, let's get a picture. This is great. I can't remember the name of her, but she looks like this crazy witch. It was pretty cool. But yeah, that's a really good once a year type of thing to go to. It's free. You just get to go see the lights. And I think sometimes they'll even do like this choreographed drone show with all the lights as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's just like visually really, really stimulating. It's a great time.
Nice. And that's in Medellín in Colombia. I know you said Medellín. I can't remember if you said Colombia.
Yeah.
Okay, that
December.
one, yeah. There's some good like Christmassy activities, it seems. So this next one is one I have attended and accidentally sort of stumbled upon it. So this one is in Myanmar, so Thailand's neighboring country. And I'm going to call it the Balloon Festival because I still cannot pronounce the actual name of it, even reading it now. But essentially, so I was in Myanmar, and I had gone on this 2-day hike and like through just some of the most beautiful landscapes, and ended at a place called Inle Lake, which is, if you Google Inle Lake, highly, highly recommend visiting. Myanmar is one of the coolest countries I've been to. It looks kind of like these little canals where people live and travel through boats. But anyway, we got to the end of it. And on that day, when we got there, they told we'd been kind of away from phone service and everything for 2 days. They were like, there's a festival tonight. I think it might have been a couple days, but it was like the biggest, or it might have been one day. I can't remember now, but it's the biggest balloon festival in the world. So when I heard that, I was thinking like, a balloon you like blow up with your mouth, like birthday balloons, but it's like hot air balloons. So this is different than, if you think about Cappadocia or there's actually another place in Myanmar called Old Bagan where you'll see like hot air balloons go up into the sky each day, just as like a general thing. But this is different, where it was a chaotic festival. Think about it like a giant fair. Like you think about like those US fairs where there's like Ferris wheels and stuff like that. Think about that times like 1,000 with tons of people. And then there's these massive hot air balloons going up into the sky that are decorated, like shooting fireworks out of them.
Oh my God.
And it was actually insane and very unsafe. So we had heard before we went there, people said like several people usually die at this festival each year because they get too close to these balloons go up and they shoot fireworks, like not out the top of them, but like out the bottom of them. And so a lot of people get really, really drunk and will stand like under these, and it's dangerous. It is chaos. So it was really cool and beautiful to see. So imagine the combination of like 4th of July fireworks mixed with hot air balloons going into the sky that are like decorated and cool. Really? And my friend got very drunk and he decided he wanted to get a really cool video and was like literally underneath one. I was like, you are the person that like this happens to. Like this, you're the reason people don't live through this. So it is actually potentially dangerous, but it's not if you actually just stay at your safe distance. But there's no rules. It's not like there's like fences around where you can't go. It's just like they're just popping up out of the land. It's chaos. But it was really cool, and especially because I had never heard of it. I've never heard anyone else talk about it. I don't know anyone else who's gone. but it was a really neat way to just like be part of, I don't know, the culture there. And just, it was very local. It was not like a touristy event, but super cool. So that is number 6 for me.
The first article I saw
Or 7.
says Myanmar's dazzling and dangerous festival of lights. And it looks incredible. I mean, it was
cool.
Is beautiful. Yeah, I guess from a distance it's amazing, but
it's really cool up close too. My friend has some videos from right underneath it. I was like,
yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a special one. And Myanmar is still to this day one of my favorite countries I've ever been to, visited, and I highly, like, not many people go to it, and I would highly recommend it.
Nice.
All right, let's swap the next 2 as well, so we can keep going. Okay.
So next one is Dia de los Muertos in Oaxaca, Mexico. And this is like a month long. It starts basically the beginning of October, and you start to see the entire city start to do more and more and more stuff. So every night you'll start to see more of these street parades. Like, it'll just start kind of easy. We got there at the beginning of October. You see one every couple nights, then all of a sudden it's one every single night, and then it's like one every single hour. And similar to what you're talking about, there's fireworks everywhere, and they're walking around with these giant, like, paper mache caricatures, giant heads, and they'll have just fireworks shooting off the top of them, and they might fly off and hit you. They might not. You don't know. You have, the whole theme of this thing is you have no idea what the hell is going to happen. People will run up to you with bottles of mezcal and say, "Hey, drink with me," and you're just drinking with a local, dodging fireworks, and that's just like the parades leading up to the thing. As it gets closer and closer to Dia de los Muertos, you see the entire city just evolves into this just like explosion of colors. The streets are all decorated with colors, like streamers going across the streets. You've got displays in the street. They'll shut down entire streets and do like displays in the streets. Like, there was this one, it was like a big sand carving. It was like a painted sand carving in the middle of the street. There was maybe like half the street, and it was a couple of, what do you call the skeletons? There's a name for it. Like the sugar skulls. You're probably familiar with like sugar skulls. They're painted,
but I can't
skeletons.
think of the word for it of what you're talking.
Calaveras. That's it. Yeah, and you see calaveras everywhere, like giant ones hanging from bars. You see them in the streets. You see people dressed as them all the time. And then you eventually get to Dia de los Muertos, and it's an enormous, you think there was big parties before, then they really go crazy, and they take a few days off so that they can recover from it. Like, nobody does anything that week. It's just reserved for partying, recovering. And you can go to the cemetery too. And the cemetery is an insane thing. Like, it's complete. There's no lights there except for the millions of candles that people have lit, and they've decorated all the graves. Just tons and tons of orange flowers and candles, and the whole thing just glows in this giant candlelight, and these orange flowers, orange and black and like purple flowers. And it's just, for an entire month, it's just incredible visual stuff to look at. And it's exhausting. By the time I was done with that, I was done Dia de los Muertos. A month of Dia de los Muertos is a lot. It's a lot of party. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of cultural stuff. And you're just like, whew, okay, good. I think I came home and just like decompressed for 2 weeks.
Yeah, but you loved it. You loved it when you did it. Yeah.
It's like anybody that enjoys Halloween themed stuff, like, it's a must. It's an absolute must do. And I imagine I'm probably going to go back again this year just because it's so much fun.
Yeah. And just a couple quick things for someone listening. Dia de los Muertos translates to Day of the Dead. It's right around Halloween, the very end of October. And then also, I don't know if you mentioned specifically, so this is in Mexico, and like throughout the country, you'll find Dia de los Muertos celebration. So I've experienced this like outside Playa del Carmen, Mexico. In Mérida is a smaller little town, kind of like in that Yucatan area that people will go to if you're in that area. But where you were in Oaxaca, which is Oaxaca, I think I always misspell that, is like really the heart of where the celebrations happen, like the heart of like the cool, like the most kind of local, genuine experience you can have. So if it calls to you, anywhere in Mexico, you will experience something like that around Day of the Dead. But specifically, if you want to be in like the heart of it, like Oaxaca is the place to go.
Perfect.
And can you quickly say, I just want to say too, like, can you give a quick, like, one sentence description of like, what's the point of this celebration around the Day of the Dead and ancestors and all of that?
Yeah, I mean, if you've seen the movie Coco, they do a great job. Like, Coco is basically the explanation of Dia de los Muertos. It's basically to celebrate ancestors. Yeah, it's all about family, and it's all about recognizing and remembering past family members,
ancestors. And people say, isn't it believed like that's like the day where the veil is the thinnest between the other world, the spirit world, and
I think so. Yeah, you can. I'd have to do a little research, but I think so. Yeah,
I'm pretty certain that's the case. So yeah, so that's Dia de los Muertos. The next on our list is Nyi Pi. This is Nyepi, and this is celebrated in Bali. So this might be a love-hate experience if you're going for this, because you are not allowed to use lights, Wi-Fi, do anything, really drive, I think, anywhere for 24 hours during this celebration in Bali. And basically, it's kind of a time of like spiritual renewal, where it also has a lot to do with like spirits, and like out of respect, they kind of observe and just like don't do anything for 24 hours. But it's a total day of silence. They say it allows everyone to kind of like rest, recover. But it's a very interesting Balinese experience. And I think the days leading up to it, I can't remember if it's afterwards as well, but at least before, there's like lots of festivals, lots of celebrating as well. That said, if you're in Bali, I feel like there's some sort of festival every day of the year. It feels like when you're in Bali, like there's some festival going on that you'll accidentally come across. But that's a really big one that happens there. And so if you're interested in Balinese culture, it's a cool one just to really see people out in the streets celebrating ancestors, celebrating this time of like respect. But then it's also coupled with 24 hours of like no Wi-Fi, no electricity. Like you sit, you chill, you don't work. So just think about that as well. But yeah, it's an interesting one to experience.
Yeah, I was just Googling. It says it's 24 hours of silence.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're not supposed to talk to anyone else. You're supposed to just be.
Okay, so next on our list is Oktoberfest. Probably one of the more familiar ones on our list. Yeah. Oktoberfest is around 16 to 18 days in Bavaria. Typically, I think most people go to Munich for this one. Yeah. It's an enormous party. It's basically it celebrates Bavarian traditions, music, dance, food. But the main thing is they're drinking lots and lots of beer. Like it is a beer drinking celebration. And it goes way, way, way back. They started this back in Munich in 1810. It was the notes here say, celebration of the marriage of Crown Prince of Ludwig and Princess Therese of Saxony. Somehow it's evolved into the chaos that it is now in drinking tons and tons of beer. Yeah, I've had a few friends that went to it. It probably is not something that really speaks to me because of the way they explain it is like very, very touristy and just kind of a drunken shit show. Yeah. I mean, if you're in it, maybe
I feel like you would 10 love
years
it, Jeff.
ago.
I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe 10 years ago.
I don't think I could do it anymore.
It seems like a lot of people and a lot of drinking. I'm slowing down little by little. I don't know if I can handle it anymore. Maybe 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even me would have loved it. But from everything that I understand, it's a lot of people. A lot of people, very, very touristy. But it's popular for a reason. People love to go to it. If you're a beer drinker, it's like the mecca of beer drinking. And you get like 2 weeks of it. So anything you want to add to October? You haven't been there before, right?
No, I've been around similar times, but never for like the traditional Oktoberfest. So I've been to Munich, but just not during that time. And I feel like also that was like a 10 to 15 years ago version of me would have loved it. Now I'm like, it doesn't call to me anymore. But again, if you love the beer drinking and you love partying and festivals, if you're still in it, power to you and go for it. All right. So that brings us to number 11, I believe. So this one is called, I might be mispronouncing it, I'm sorry, it's called Songkran, which is in Thailand. I like to call it, if you Google water fight Thailand, it will come up for you. This is sometime in mid-April typically, and it's anywhere in Thailand, but I think the biggest places to experience are probably Chiang Mai and Bangkok. Jeff has a smile on his face because I think he did the Google search.
I'm looking at it.
It's basically a giant water fight with like water guns and things like that. So imagine like your favorite childhood water fight if you're like at a pool, like with one of those, what are those called? Those little like
Super
soakers. I don't know. We had those as kids. Like imagine that times like instead of the tomato festival I was talking about or Holi throwing like colorful paint, imagine you're just shooting everyone with like water guns. And that's what this festival is. So it celebrates the like Thailand's New Year, and it's a tradition that like people out in the streets all the time. And a lot of people will go to Thailand during this time to experience this. I feel like it's also something that like maybe 10 years ago I would have loved a lot more, but it's still a cool experience. But what are you seeing? What brings up the smiles as you're Googling these images?
So many super soakers. Actually, the one that's making me crack up is there's this elephant walking through the streets. And it's shooting this giant stream of water out of its trunk. And people are shooting the elephant with super soakers. And it's like, yeah, it looks like it's having a blast. I mean, it looks like it's shooting like a BB at a boulder because it's launching this giant fire hose of water at them. So
is this like real or is this a photoshopped image?
No, it looks real.
It's real? All right.
Yeah, looks like it.
There's some questionable elephant practices in Thailand that I will say.
I've heard that.
If you visit the elephants in Thailand, make sure you go to a very ethical sanctuary where you're not riding them, probably not shooting water guns at them. But it does happen there. It does. All right. So that is, again, Songkran. It's Songkran, but again, Google water fight Thailand, it will come up. So Jeff, what is number 12?
Number 12 is Carnival in Brazil, but also celebrated in many parts in the world. Also, I think called different things. Like it's in the States, it would be Mardi Gras, right? Is basically the same thing.
Oh, I never thought about it in that way. But yeah, I guess so. It is around that like Easter time.
Same kind of thing. But I think the biggest celebration is actually in Brazil.
Yeah.
And that's like a week-long insane party. I just saw Valley when he came back when I was in Buenos Aires from there. He was dead. I've never seen the man he's a very energetic dude. And he was just a zombie because he was just partying so hard for a week.
Partying all night long, all day and all night. Yes.
Yeah.
Brazilians know how to party. If you want a celebration and if you're a partier and you want to experience that, Brazil. I feel like Brazilians party like no others, like all day, all night. Yeah. And
I would never be able to hang
wild.
anymore.
Yeah. I don't think I can hang anymore either, but older version. The point of this is Jeff and I are too old to party anymore. Can't hang anymore. We used to be able to, and now we can't. But there's still a lot of these are not necessarily just like drinking events, but some like even if you don't participate in drinking or stay up all night, Carnival is still a really cool experience to go during the day and experience like the festivals and parades and everything. And yeah, a lot of people, I would say it happens there's like parts of it in Argentina as well, but Brazil is really like the Mecca of Carnival. So Rio, especially if you want to go, is like the central, I feel like the biggest of the big celebrations of Carnival that you can do.
Do you know what the cultural significance of it is? Like where?
Yeah, so I think it's around. So it says it has like religious significance, I believe. So sorry, if anyone knows better, please let us know. This is not our expertise, but I believe when I was just like looking at it before, they said around roots in Catholicism and was a farewell to pleasures before the fasting and abstinence of Lent. So I guess it's like before you take everything away during Lent, it's
you do everything.
You just go hard. You go and you celebrate. And now it's just kind of a lot of people just go and party. But that I think is like I think a lot of probably like local people still like it is a very religious like I think country as well still. So probably a lot of the local people are still following it for those reasons originally. But a lot of people tourism wise who are going are just going there to kind of like celebrate and partake in the festivals and parties.
Yeah, gotcha.
So number 13 here we have got the running of the bulls in Spain. So this happens in July each year in Pamplona. And this is one, I feel like this is a more commonly known one. I still actually haven't gone to this, but it's like everyone's dressed in white, like the bulls release, everyone's like running. It's another one that's like actually very dangerous. Like you can actually literally get trampled by a bull. But yeah, you're supposed to like run along and these bulls run through these streets with you. And there's people on the sides. If you don't want to be running with the bulls, you can, I think, be on the sides watching everything happen. But it's still just like one of those once a year big festivals, traditions, just a really unique thing that happens in Spain each year.
It seems another thing that I would not sign up for. That just seems insane.
I don't feel the need to. I feel like 10 years ago, me probably would have done it. And now I'm like,
would you have run with the bulls or would you have just sat on the sides and watched?
There's a part of me that might have done it years ago,
Yeah.
and now I'm like, I don't need to do that. I'd be happy to watch. But I feel like old me was like, I can do anything. I can do it. I feel like as with age, I'm like, can I do everything? But I used to. I used to believe I could. I probably I would say there was a 50-50 chance I would have actually done it. But
I think I'm in the same boat. I think there's a chance I would have popped out there, freaked out, and then just jumped back over the wall. I think I might have made an attempt.
Yeah, but now I feel no need anymore.
Yeah.
But it would be cool to watch, I guess. I don't know. I feel weird about some of the things that happen with like animals and bulls and rodeos and all of that. But again, it is a cultural experience. It is still happening, and we are sharing that here.
Okay, number 14 on the list is the Cherry Blossom Festival in Japan. It usually occurs around like March to April. Just kind of depends on when the cherries actually blossom. So there's not like a spot on your calendar that you can get. But it's in different parts of Japan, a lot of festivals in Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, and basically it's just like celebrating these cherry blossoms. They all bloom roughly around the same times, and they're really, really pretty. I've seen pictures of it before.
Yeah.
It's just gorgeous, like trees and trees of these pink cherry blossoms. I don't know much about like what the festivals themselves, like what they do in the festivals. I've just seen pictures of it, and it's like it seems like something I would love to see.
Yeah, it seems to be. A lot of people travel to Japan purposely during this time to try to catch like when the cherry blossoms are blooming. So it's less of like a cultural or religious festival like some of the other ones we've talked about, but it is kind of like a once a year occurring thing that
Really
people
pretty, yeah.
tend to go for. That's really pretty at that time. And so with that, we are bringing this to an end here. Number 15. Neither of us have done this one. One of my really good friends has wanted to do this forever, and this is still on my list. I would like to see at some point. Is the Highland Games in Scotland. So we had talked about there's something in August called Fringe Fest, and that's more of like arts, comedy, like music, like it's more of like a festival of just kind of, art, like kind of different arts and music and things like that. But this one is a little bit different. So this is like, if you think about traditional Scottish culture of like in the kilts, this one started from, wait, I have to read this. It says, these games have deep roots in Scottish history and culture, originating as a way for clan chiefs to select the best men to entertain their guests. So I think about this as like heavyweight lifting, like, you think about those like Olympic, like bodybuilding type people, but they're just like these Scottish men. And they have like, they call them heavy events that they're throwing, like they're like tossing, I feel like giant, like when I say logs, it looks like tree trunks. Like I feel like they're throwing those. There's like tug of war. There's all sorts of, it's like shot put, like how could you lift heavy things, throw heavy things, pull heavy things. It's like a show of strength, basically, but in these very traditional Scottish games. So I think this still happens once a year. I want to say it's in June. I don't have this one written down, but it's sometime in summer, I'm pretty sure. But Google it, Highland Games in Scotland. I feel like that would be a very cool cultural thing to experience.
Sounds like the strongman contest. You ever seen this, World's Strongest Man?
Maybe like on TV where they're like lifting all the things.
They're like pulling semi-trucks and they're throwing giant tree logs all over the place.
I feel like it's like the Scottish version of that.
Yeah. They're just like doing random strong things, lifting and throwing very heavy stuff. Yeah, I'm looking up pictures of it right now, all the kilts and everything.
Yeah.
That looks like an absolute blast. Looks like there's dancing,
and I'm sure there's like tons of like festivals surrounding it and like local food and dress and all of that. Yeah.
They're throwing hammers. These are enormous human beings, by the way, folks. They're very large breeding. Yeah, looks cool.
There you go. So with that, 15? Those are 15 of some of the coolest. We did not I feel like every country has something cool like this. Like this barely scratches the surface, but these were some of the first ones that came to our mind. It's a podcast topic we've been meaning to do for a while because I really do think experiences like this are some of my favorite reasons of like why I became a digital nomad, to be able to go and to countries all over the world at the time when I want and not worry about vacation days and, like when, I don't know, just like when to go and making sure you can fly at the right time to get here. And some of these things like the cherry blossoms, if you just go for 1 week of the year, like you might miss it because global warming and it's like a week later this year. So as a nomad, you could just spend a month there. So it's just neat to be able to experience all of these. And if you don't yet have a remote job that lets you not just work from home, but travel anywhere, we do have a really, really awesome, amazing new tool that we've created called the Anywhere Atlas. And essentially we have taken all of the remote job listings we've ever found, every website that says they have a remote job, but it's not it's only remote work from home, not work from anywhere. And we have done thousands of hours of research, really, really and truly, to narrow all of these down to list only the companies that actually let all employees, 100% of their employees, work from anywhere in the world while you travel. So there's over 300 companies in this database. You can search it, you can filter it, you can look really easily to find the companies you love of what does the company do, the perks, what else, Jeff? I don't know what I'm missing, but it's really awesome.
Yeah, we got the company description there, so I tell you what their values are, what it is that they're selling, their products, their services. We've done our own evaluation of the company, and we talk about why it's a great place to work based on everything that we've read, based on peer reviews that we found from people that actually work within the organization. Like you said, the perks, things like, do they offer laptops to employees? Do they give you 4-day work weeks? Do they give you unlimited PTO? Anything that we can find about what it's like to work at the organization, we've included it in that database. And in that database are only companies that made the cut. And then within the companies that did make the cut, we've rated them all based on these criteria. So how good are the benefits? How strong is the remote work culture? What is the overall company culture like for employees? All of that kind of stuff gets factored into a rating system. And like you said, it's all filterable in this database. So you're looking for something in tech, you can easily find it. Looking for a company that offers XYZ perk, you can easily find that thing too. So best way to use it is you can find these companies, find your favorite companies that you would want to work for, and then follow them, connect with them on LinkedIn, find out who's hiring, connect with that person or people, and then follow them for a little while. And as the job listings pop up that you're really interested in, then you kind of strike, and then you try to get that job of your dreams and start traveling.
Yeah. So with that, if you're interested, check out beachcommute.com/Atlas, ATLAS. We'll link it in the show notes as well. And yeah, super exciting. And it'll help you get a job. When you sign up, you get daily emails as well with some of the hottest job alerts that we're actively looking for you and finding those days. So those are really fun just to kind of see what's out there, see what's active that day, see potential job listings you might not have thought of. So anyway, it's a really great tool to us. It's like the number one tool if you are looking to get a remote job. It is the place, the tool to use, to find, to go. So check out beachcommute.com/Atlas. And with that, I think that is everything we're covering here so you can go to all of these cool experiences once you get that job.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next week.